Morning, everyone. Welcome to section 5.2. Today we are going to be lining a soccer field. Don't worry about the warm-up. Let's just get straight into the math. So the first part, it says we're looking at metric units, and they want to know what you think the four most common metric units are. They've told you that it's meters. And that's a very, very common one that we use, especially for something like a soccer field. If you have a really far distance where you're traveling somewhere, we tend to go in kilometers. I will let you look up how to spell those. If it's something a little bit smaller, like a book that you're trying to measure, usually centimeters. And if it's super, super small, then we would measure in millimeters. Okay, so those are the four most common ones that we use. If you're struggling with spelling them, look them up on, just look them up and you should be able to spell them. Part B, I want you to order them from the smallest unit to the largest unit. Okay. Questions 2 to 5, you're going to be doing on your own. Think about any sports that you would have seen, diving, high jump, speed skating. They usually end up calculating them in a metric measure with like centimeters, meters, decimeters, kilometers. See if you can come up with 3 other sports that usually discuss metric units, okay? And then under part 3 and 4, what I would like you to do is take an actual ruler, go into your books and measure each one of these lines in millimeters, okay? Those are the tiny, tiny units. Part B, I want you to measure them in centimeters. And then for question 4, you should realize on your ruler that there are 10 little marks in between every centimeters. Those are each millimeters. So there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So take your rulers and measure each one of these lines. Write it and look at the measurement in millimeters and then measure it in centimeters. You should be pretty exact when you're measuring, okay? Question 5, this is where we start to look at your soccer field. You're going to answer part 5 on your own, which is this box, and you're going to need the diagram up at the top. The diagram is a pretty good measurement of a soccer field, and you have to pretend that you're a park manager who has to take care of this soccer field. And I know for a fact that a lot of soccer clubs, definitely in the area, they look for people on a regular basis to take care of these as a summer job. So this is something you could actually be doing with your summers. So take a look at each one of these, okay? You are to measure and determine the length of the soccer field and the width of the soccer field. The length is the longer side and the width is the shorter side, and all the values are given to you. Do it for the goal area, which is the dark gray right here and here, and you'll see the measurements there. And then the penalty area, which is the kind of the middle box. And again, they give you the length and the width, okay? Sorry, length and width. Now, once you've got those, you're gonna pretend that you're gonna line the field and you're gonna cut the grass. So the first part is they discuss, now I'll do 6 and I'll explain 7 with you and then you can finish up on your own. Pretend that you have a riding lawnmower and the lawnmower cuts 2 meters wide, okay? So when you're driving, it would cut 2 meters. How many times will you have to drive the lawnmower the length of the soccer field to cut all the grass? Well, if my lawnmower only covers 2 meters, let's just say that's 2 meters in there, and then I go back the other way and another 2 meters, and then I go back the other way, another 2 meters. How many times would I have to go back and forth to get my whole 60 meters? So let's think about this. 1 time is 2 meters, but my soccer field is 60 meters wide. How many times would you have to go back and forth? Well, what do you do to get to 60 from the number 2? What do you have to multiply 2 by? Well, 2 times 30 gives us 60. So 1 times 30 should give us 30. That means you have to go back and forth 30 times to cover up or to cut the grass of the soccer field, okay, if we're driving by length. Okay, now you have to pretend that you're going to be painting the lines on the field. So your job is to paint all of them. And if we're painting all the lines, we're going to need to know the distance just on the outside. So you're going to look at the perimeter of the whole field. So going up, if you go back, now you're going to need your diagram. So go back up here. You'll notice that the length or the width is 60. The length is 100 oops, 100. The width is another 60, and then the length is another, 60, and then the length is another 100. Okay? So you would have to travel 100, 60, 160. So you can put those answers here, 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 and here, and then add them to get your total. Do the same thing with the goal area. Those are the little dark lines, okay? That's your goal area. So you should have 5.5, 18, and 5.5. Those would be your 3 measurements. Add them up to get the total. Now, keep in mind, if you have to paint 2 nets, you're going to have to double it for your final answer. So you're going to have it twice. Do the same thing for the penalty area, which is the larger or the middle box here, and then the length of the center line. So if it's 60 meters from here to here and 60 meters from here to here, it should be 60 meters for the center line. So this one I'm going to tell you. Okay. Calculate the total amount that needs to be painted. That would mean adding up the perimeter of the field, the length of each goal area, the length of each penalty area, and the center line. So you're going to add up all of these numbers to get this guy. Okay. Once you've got that, whatever your answer is, you can put it here, and then you can use your ratios to figure out how many cans you have. Okay. I'm going to round the distance up because you can't buy half of a can of paint. Okay. So you can play around with that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Good luck, and we'll see you for the next section.